Number one, I categorize these two things together because both of them work hand in hand. Shooting from down up and shooting from up down. So basically, when I say shooting from down up, it means the camera is at a low perspective and is looking at the person up. So basically, you're looking at me right now, you're shooting from down up. You're looking at me like I'm bigger than life, or I'm like a god and I'm looking fresh, sitting on top of a car, or probably shooting, sitting somewhere else. So basically, shooting from down up gives you a different perspective. Shooting from up down also is quite different. It's also called bird's eye view. Basically, you can also use your drones, you can use your camera, probably an helicopter, or you can go upstairs and shoot from up down. It gives you a different perspective than what you normally see. So basically, one of the composition techniques that you need to know is shooting from down up and shooting from up down. Let's get into this video. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and on today's video, which we already started before this, we'll be talking about composition techniques in photography. This is very important for everyone who is just starting out photography, or who is a photography enthusiast, or who is very much interested in doing photography, or who is interested in taking better pictures. So what is composition? Oh, sorry, before I continue. My name is Olamide Ali, and if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and don't forget to subscribe. So basically, what is composition? Composition is the way the photographer arranged the elements in the picture. So what do you do as a photographer or as anyone who is taking a picture? You compose your image, because most times, because images are 2D like, you want to make it have depth. You want to make it aesthetically pleasing. You want it to make it as good as possible, such that anybody who is looking at your image is like, this is very amazing. Even without knowing the composition techniques, they see the image and see that it is very beautiful. So basically, composition is the way you, as a photographer or as anyone taking a picture, is going to arrange the elements in the image. So number one, like I talked about, is shooting from up down and shooting from down up. Number two is simplification. So what simplification does is it blurs out the background in layman terms, or like as simple as possible. But for photographers, it's basically saying that you have a shallow depth of field, or you have a lot of bokeh in your background. So what simplification does is it focuses your attention on just the subject. Just like the same way you're looking at me, the background is blurred out, right? There there are roofs behind me, there are doors behind me, there are windows behind me. But the fact that it is blurred out and the attention is just on me, it simplifies it and makes it as simple as possible. So basically, that's the simplification. So number three is filling the frame. So what filling the frame does is focuses your attention on just your subject. I know if you take your attention away from me, you can see what's in my background, you can see the house, you can see the car, right? But filling the frame fills the frame with just the subject, right? Even if the background is almost as sharp as the subject. But the fact that the person is what you're filling the frame with, you can see that I occupy all the space in this frame. So let's go to the next one. So number four is rule of thirds. Now this one you probably edit a lot of times. Probably see people say, hey, rule of thirds here, rule of thirds there. First of all, before we continue, open your camera and go to your settings and put on your grid lines, right? So rule of thirds has to do with dividing your frame or your picture into 9 equal parts. The lines are going across horizontally and down vertically. So how it works, like I just said, is you put your subject at the intersection of where those lines meet. So you have the horizontal and vertical line going across. The point where they meet is where you put your subject. So putting your subject at the point of intersection is rule of thirds. It's making use of rule of thirds as a composition technique. I hope you understand what I just said. So if you don't understand, I'm going to repeat it again. Rule of thirds is putting your subject or object or your point of interest at the intersection, and sometimes it doesn't always have to be at the intersection. It can be around the intersection, such that anybody viewing the image will naturally go to that point of the image because that place is your point of focus, or it makes it look aesthetically pleasing to the eyes or to the viewer. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So what now makes it different from every other one is because it's a grid line, you might not always have the opportunity to have your grid lines on. So what do? You memorize it, you ingrain it into your memory such that when you want to take a picture, it becomes something that comes to you naturally. You just do it. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Number five, framing. I really hands down, if there's any composition technique I like, I really love framing. Like every composition technique, right? It's focuses your attention on your subject. But the way it works is you use either man-made objects, or you use people, or you use trees, or you use anything going on to frame your subject. Right? You can see pictures on the screen, you can see what it looks like, right? You are trying to focus on somebody, probably you're at a party, and then you take pictures of a person, and like most weddings, like Nigerian weddings, like you see a lot of people coming into your frame and they're trying to focus on just one person. You use people to frame the person such that it can be the person's arm, or somebody's neck, or somebody's face cap, or somebody's body, to frame your subject such that by the time you take the picture, all you can see is that person, right? And when I say man-made objects, or rocks, or tree, or natural objects, you can say you want to take a picture of somebody, and then there's a tree. You can use the tree to frame the person, such that you shoot in between a space or an opening in a tree. Framing, it's very interesting. I really love framing. So go out and try framing. So number 6 is reading lines. I think everybody, all these things I'm talking about are things that we see every day, but we don't take notice of. So I'm going for a drive right now, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. So leading lines. Oh, another example of leading lines. I think most of us did art when we were young, and if you didn't do art, I'm very sorry. So most times when they say draw a train track, right, and then you see a vanishing point at the end. So that is more or less like leading lines. And leading lines is not always straight. It can be C, it can be a curve, it can be S shaped. As long as it's basically directing your attention to the subject, right? I'll put examples on the screen. So leading lines, like I said, it focuses your attention on the subject by leading the viewer's eye, or you that are watching the image, seeing the image. It leads your eye from either outside the frame into the frame, or into the frame outside the frame, or in any way the curve or the straight line goes. So basically, it's leading your eyes, leading your eyes into the frame, to the subject, or the point where you want the person viewing the image to focus on. I hope you understand. Number 7 is patterns and structure. So pattern works in such a way that when you see something in your image or in your picture that reoccurs over and over, when you're about to take this picture, it's pattern, right? You see rods, you see a number of rods that will go on for a long time. That is a pattern. You see probably chairs see chairs in such a way that there is a pattern of chairs, there's a pattern of arrangement of those chairs. So basically, when the way you incorporate patterns into composition is making use of those patterns to make your subject stand out of the image. So say for example you are at the stadium, and then I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. You are at the stadium, probably see somebody sitting down, and then there's a wide empty space of what chairs. So basically it's also pattern, because you see a pattern of chairs, and then that person is standing out in the image. So texture is also different. Texture emphasizes your subject or your background or whatever you are trying to say. So let's look at the background that I am right now. So looking at it, right, let's imagine it was just plain, or just a plain curtain. As much as the curtain is almost plain, the fact that there are those lines, there are those folds that make it look different, that is texture. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Texture, you can also see a repetition of those folds. Pattern. I hope you understand what I just talked about. Thank you. Like every other composition technique, we have a negative space. So negative space has to do with, have you ever gone to an art gallery and then you just see probably someone standing in the frame and there is so much space around the person? That is what's called negative space. It means that the amount of space in comparison to your subject is so much, right? So it's so much that you are not but drawn into the image, right? You are not but drawn to want to see what makes this image stand out. Number 9, foreground to background interest, or basically called depth. Because photographs are 2D like, right? Because it's not, you cannot decide to start turning the image and then start seeing probably back or something else. Because it's flat and 2D, you want to add interest to it, you want to add depth to it. And here's how it works. for depth, you need your foreground, you need your midground, and you need your background. Do you understand what I just said? With depth, you need your foreground, you need your midground, and you need your background. So when these three come into play, right, in your image, right, it adds depth to your image. Now, for this frame that we are in, I will add images to the screen to emphasize what I'm talking about. But for these frames, for this frame that we are in, right, we have just the foreground and the background, right, which is me, the foreground. Focus your attention on me, and the background. But for, let's say you are taking a landscape view, like some of us are interested in landscape pictures, and say, or a wedding or something, you will always have probably like the river in front, right, or a hut in the midground, and then the mountains in the background, right? So foreground to background interest or depth is basically adding depth into your image by adding foreground, your midground, and your background into your image. Number 10 is symmetry or centering your subject in the frame. So the way it works is such that you put your subject at the center of your composition. Repeating it again. You put your subject or your point of view or your point of attraction in the center of the image, such that when you divide the image, because most times when we say we want to divide something, our mind automatically can divide a loaf of bread into two, or anything into two equal parts. So now bringing it into photography, you take your subject into the frame, center the person, then you divide your frame into two. Where symmetry now comes in is such that when you divide your image, so from the center to the right of your image is equal to from the center to the left part of the image. I hope you understand what I just said. Such that you divide your image and they both have equal parts. Do you understand? That is what you call symmetry. You know, everybody says 3 makes a crowd. But in photography, 3 is not really a crowd. 3 is amazing. It's a composition technique, a rule of thought, basically. It's when you have 3 of the same thing in your image. Or 3 of your subjects that have the same characteristics. Right? I'm putting pictures on the screen to make you understand or see better or understand what I'm saying. Right? Basically rule of thought. Another one outside the main 10 I mentioned is what? Balance. So balancing in such a way that, okay, I'll be calling please, can you come? Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, this is very important. It's not understanding and probably stand here. So what balancing does is it balances out what looks off in the image. Now, imagine Foreground is not in the image. So Foreground, step out of the place. Just step out of my frame. So imagine this, right? This is good, but sometimes it can be unbalanced. So by the time I bring Foreground back into the image, Foreground step back into the composition, right? It balances out. No, you don't stay in the middle. Stay at the edge. Yeah, it balances it out, right? It shows I'm basically balancing Foreground because now Foreground is in the image. Focus is on that. I'm blurred out, but like it's balancing it out. I hope you understand what I just said. If you understand, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so every composition technique I just mentioned works hand in hand. They support each other. They don't work separate of each other. Yes, they can work separate of each other, but then they complement each other. So you can have me come forward, right? And then my background is blurred, which is what? Simplification and rule of thirds, right? And with every image I probably put on the screen, you will definitely have seen 1 or 2 composition techniques work hand in hand. And if you learn 1 or 2 things, put it in the comment section. 1, but 2, you can send me pictures, you can send me what you've done, you can try every photography technique and send to me. Don't forget, your camera can do this, your phone can do this, like any gadget you have that takes pictures can do this. All it takes is understanding and putting this to practice. I hope you understand. And thank you so much for watching up to this point. And don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe if you learn 1 or 2 things. And let me know in the comment section. I'll see you later in another video. Bye.